Everybody, welcome back to more CSGO News. Hope you guys are all doing well. Yeah, I just shouted into your ears because I want you all to watch out. The first episode, I guess I should say the first story for CSGO News is a big one, and that is a tweet from Norse. I don't mention him too frequently here on the show, but with that being said, he never, ever does this unless something big is happening, guys. He did at CSGO Dev on Twitter saying, hey, what's up tomorrow? So I want you guys to watch out for something big because otherwise Norse would have, he's not messing with us, guys. So some big announcements, potentially. I don't want to diss it, but with the major coming up very slowly in the next few months here, this seems like a great time for a big update from CSGO Dev. And with that being said, the operation has to be on the top of your mind, so keep an eye out for it. I'm not calling it, but Norse would never do this unless something big was not coming for CSGO. So keep your eye out for tomorrow, guys. If of course it is an operation, you'll see me back here tomorrow breaking down the operation and being very excited about that. Now also in big news in terms of Hinsat not actually being confirmed right now, brought to us by Decay. As always, his full article will be linked down below, guys, because it could be, I know I need to start talking a little bit slower, but it could be NiP changes for the first time in a very long time, I believe about a year. And with that being said, though, with an NiP potential, according to Decay sources, roster change, it kind of begs the question, who the heck would they possibly be replacing? As of right now, his sources, the only thing he's willing to say currently is a potential prospect to join the NiP lineup. That would be a current Team Ancient member known as Plopsky. We talked about him when he actually first joined the roster. He's 17 years old, kind of an up-and-comer, because it seems like we are stuck in a time where a lot of teams out there are taking risks on the younger players. You know, Cirque back in the day, Frozen to Mouse Sports. We have other people out there, you know, Vice to Cloud9, so on and so forth, that teams are clearly taking risks on younger players out there, and this could be one of them. That could be a potential Plopsky to join the NiP lineup, and who he would join for, I don't know. Because you have GTR, you have Get Right and Forest, I should say, and with that being said, they seem pretty protected, right? The two longest standing, the two only remaining standing former NiP players themselves, and they've always been protected. Forrest, of course, he would make no sense to replace. Get Right, though, you know, he has taken on the IGL role, at least we do believe so currently on the roster, but he would be maybe a prospect of retirement, but to retire right before a major, it seems that Get Right and Forrest would be protected members here. Alongside that, though, you kind of aim your eyes towards maybe Electro. I think Rez as well is very safe on the team, so you look towards Electro or a Dennis, and with that being said, Dennis is the only player that's had issues in the previous months. Remember, they brought back in Draken. They were going to bring him in for a few months. It actually ended up being a few weeks because Dennis had energy fatigue issues. He then came back to the roster, so it would seem very likely it could be Dennis to be replaced on the roster by a young up-and-comer to experience his first big event at the major itself, which does come into question, you know, wow, this is actually a pretty big surprise, right? So as always, y'all, I'm really curious what you guys think about this in the comment section because we always have different opinions. I will kind of agree with Decay on this one. The only thing really making sense in my mind right now would be a Dennis. I think Get Right and Forrest are protected based off experience, Forrest based off pure skill, Rez the same way. So I look towards maybe a Dennis and Lekro. And if it is Plopsky, best of luck, but Team Ancient is also currently in the European minor. I would actually hate to see a team who actually surprisingly made the European minor in Team Ancient give away their young up-and-comer to a team. Would I blame them? No, you make a quick cash grab for NiP to buy out your player. It would just suck to see, but we see it all the time. Now, talking about that, guys, our next story as well, actually talking about Devin Nash. He's had a lot of great stories. I'll link his YouTube channel down below for all you guys. A lot of great things he's talked about, including the OpTic topic, which we'll talk about in our next story after that. But he had a great discussion about the Dr. Disrespect van. But in that video as well, he talks about CSGO being brand and sponsorship friendly. I wanted to play a very, very quick clip for all of you guys because it's long been a debate about Valve potentially changing the CT or T side names, right? Counter-terrorist or terrorist inside the game to be more viewer-friendly, more family-friendly, as well as brand-friendly as well. And some more discussion on that. Devin Nash, by the way, is an ex-CLG CEO. Remember, they formerly had a CS team as well. And here's what he had to say about CSGO being brand-friendly.
But that is really how these brands think. I can't tell you how many meetings I have had with large F500 brands where I've been in a Death Star room with 20 old executives and they go, yeah, I'm not going to advertise with you because you run a team of people and in CSGO it says terrorists win. I will not advertise with you. They drop my account because of that, right? They dropped any deal that I could possibly have because of that. Just because of that one phrase in CSGO.
So it kind of speaks more to the fact that, yes, of course, you know, CSGO is not really having, I would say, too many troubles in terms of bringing in the money. We've already talked about how much Valve is making off the game itself. When it comes to organizers, though, we've never really seen a discussion about this. We see plenty of organizers pulling in gambling sponsors or sketchy sponsorships. Would this be a reason why? Because, I don't know. You know, we see a lot of big teams out there still nailing some very big sponsors, but it's very curious to see an ex-CLG CEO as well as people talk about the potential for the future of CSGO not to be terrorists versus counter-terrorists, but maybe, I don't know, something stupid, enemy 1 versus enemy 2, but something I wanted to share with all of you guys. But also, speaking of which, speaking of OpTic themselves, they have now won an event. What? I know, you might be surprised. Actually, looking at the field, though, they probably were one of your favorite teams there. Of course, we saw Taz and former Kingwin under Aristocracy. They actually took down Ancient, though. OpTic takes down Ancient, you know, speak of the devil, with their member Plopsky in the DreamHack Summer Finals, and they looked pretty good. I would say fairly good. But with this lineup, again, like I said before, you would probably expect them to be one of your favorites. You know, Windstrike was there with Edward. Crazy was there as well. They didn't really look too impressive, but still a pretty solid field, I would say, of probably your tier 2 European teams out there. And OpTic do take a title, and a win is certainly a win. So they will be obviously sold off very shortly here. And kind of bouncing off that story as well, their very own coach Ruggah was actually stopped going into the event because he had pain relievers on him, and he was actually suspected of having some illegal drugs or drugs of some kind that weren't allowed at the event itself. After further conclusion, guys, and further investigation, it actually was ibuprofen as well as other supplements that kind of act as like a Tylenol, so a mild pain relief, that kind of thing. Nothing serious. He was actually stopped because of the packaging, the pills or whatever the substances were actually in, because apparently he took them out of the bottles, maybe. So they did actually stop him. They ever since have apologized to him. Nothing too crazy here. I think very understandable if you see a CSGO coach or, you know, a manager, any upper management for any team out there walking in with drugs or supplements to stop them and to question them. They've ever since though apologized, and the situation is now quelmed itself. But with that being said, you know, maybe that's the secret to a victory, guys. Ibuprofen. Maybe that's what they're feeding convicts. And very lastly in CSGO news, you know, this has actually been a pretty good episode. I feel like we've had really good episodes in the afternoon. If you guys realize, I've been uploading CSGO videos later and later in the day. They get less views, but there's still there's a lot of good news out there. So if you guys are enjoying, thank you very much for watching, and leave a comments down below. The last story though is all about ESL Cologne for this year, and it is going to be so lit. It actually came down to Liquid versus G2 in the final matchup to decide the last team going. If you guys did remember though, it was actually Liquid who originally rejected the spot to go, but then their schedule was all cleared up. They said, hey, we'll try and qualify anyway. They rejected a direct invite to the event, so they went back to the qualifier, a last-second qualifier for one spot. They faced off against G2 in the finals, and G2, if you remember, they were the team that was not invited to either the closed qualifier or the open qualifier for the event. So now here they are in a last-chance qualifier, and all of a sudden, Liquid, the number 2 team in the world, shows up, and yeah, Liquid kind of ran supreme, guys. They did run the tournament, although in group stages, you know, a little iffy here and there, as well as even the semifinals, they almost lost to Forza. If you guys saw that series, Forza had 2 at least disconnect issues towards the end of the match, very critical in map 3, very close on Inferno. Very likely could have been Forza advancing and not Team Liquid, so, you know, a little shaky here and there. I think they did fairly dominant against G2 though to decide who was actually taking that last ESL Cologne spot. And with that being said, I am almost out of breath here, guys, but we have one of the best lineups we have ever seen for an event, especially throughout 2019 or for Cologne in general, and it's just kind of pretty crazy to see. Liquid, Furia, MIBR, FaZe Clan, RNG, that being Renegades, you know, we have ENCE, we have FaZe Clan, we have Fnatic, we have Mouse Sports. I might have repeated a few of those teams. You guys obviously can tell with the teams on the screen, it's going to be an insane event. Oh, Astralis will also be there in case you cared. But I mean, of all the top 15 teams in the world, we have so many of those teams here at the event. It's actually pretty insane. I got enough coffee in my system. You guys can obviously see the teams, but I want to try and name as many of them as possible. We have Liquid, we have Astralis, we have ENCE, we have Renegades, we have Furia, we have MIBR, we have Vitality, the only French team, Mouse Sports, Fnatic, you know, NiP, we have Navi. We have so many teams that are going to be there. It's going to be so insane, and I'm kind of glad that Liquid rounded out the list, although I do feel bad for Kenny S and Shox, guys. The first Cologne event they will be missing in their entire careers, and it's unfortunate to see, but either way, the lineup is going to be absolutely loaded, and I cannot wait for it. But as always, I hope you guys all enjoy. I'll see you back here tomorrow breaking down esports and CSGO news as per usual. All right, love you, homies. Peace. Bye.